Hey, you want to see something really scary?
What's your favorite scary movie?
I'm gonna scare the hell out of you.
What was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
What's blood for, if not for shedding?
Welcome to Fright Night.
Welcome back to Jump Scare. I'm Betty.
And I'm Shad.
This week we're covering 1972's Gargoyles.
The devil was once the most favored of the host of angels serving the Lord. But pride welled in his breast. He thought it unseemly for him to serve. The devil and his band of followers, who likewise suffered the sin of pride, were defeated in battle by the Lord and his host, and were banished to the outermost depths of hell, never to know the presence of the Lord or look on heaven again. Smarting with his wounds, but all the more swollen with pride, the devil cried out from the depths, "It is better to rule in hell than serve in heaven." The devil proclaimed what was lost in heaven would be gained on earth. He said, "My offspring, the gargoyles, will one day rule the Lord's works, earth and man." And so it came to pass that while man ruled on earth, the gargoyles waited, lurking, hidden from the light. Reborn every 600 years in man's reckoning of time, the gargoyles joined battle against man to gain dominion over the earth. In each coming, the gargoyles were nearly destroyed by men who flourished in greater numbers. Now it has been so many hundreds of years that it seems the ancient statues and paintings of gargoyles are just products of man's imagination. In this year, with man's thoughts turned toward the many ills he has brought upon himself, man has forgotten his most ancient adversary, the gargoyles.
Now, this is a made-for-TV movie. That's why it runs very short. Even the extended version of it is only 74 minutes long. So I don't know what the unextended version was, because you don't get much shorter than that. It's only like an hour and 14 minutes?
Yeah, it's pretty short.
This was back in the days, though, when they used to do like 90-minute TV movies. They didn't have 2-hour ones. They would just, maybe they had a 3-hour block of time, so they would show 2-hour-and-a-half movies.
CBS had the new CBS Tuesday night movies, and that's when they would show these movies, and it ran for 3 years.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people in this movie that you would recognize. Some of them more than others. Now, we'll start with some of the less recognizable people to moderate audiences. The main character that plays Dr. Bailey in this is a guy named Cornell Wilde. He was in a lot of movies in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. In the 60s, he wrote, directed, and starred in one called The Naked Prey that gets, it's kind of a cult one about people that go very wrong on a trip to Africa. Playing his daughter is Jennifer Salt, and she was on the show Soap in the 70s, that comedy with Billy Crystal. And that, and then she later on went on to be a producer of shows like American Horror Story and stuff like that.
Oh yes, which is like crazy wild.
Yeah. Now, there's a character that she's the woman who runs the motel where they end up staying. She is Mrs. Parks. Mrs. Parks is played by an actress named Grayson Hall, and she was in 475 episodes of Dark Shadows, the soap opera about vampires in the 60s.
Which was insanely all filmed in 2 months.
Yeah, probably. And she was also in both movies of the House of Dark Shadows and Night of Dark Shadows. She was in those. She played multiple parts in Dark Shadows. She played an older, an ancestor of herself at one point because they time travel in that show and do all kinds of crazy shit.
Do. Mm-hmm.
One of the young bikers they're going to come across in this movie, one of the just punks that's out there riding his bike in the desert, is Scott Glenn, who is 30 years old at the time, and he's playing the young punk in the desert.
Yeah,
but that was pretty standard for back then. He doesn't look much different than he did 20 years later in Silence of the Lambs, which we just talked about.
Yeah.
He didn't look that much different. He had a little bit more gray in his hair, and he might have been a little skinnier 20 years later, but that was about it.
And he's like the warden, right? Of the jail?
No, he's the punk, remember I just said?
No, I'm saying Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, no, he's Clarissa's boss.
Oh, Clarissa's boss. Yes.
Yeah, he's the director of the FBI, behavioral sciences. And playing the lead gargoyle is Bernie Casey. And you'll know him from everything from James Bond movies, Revenge of the Nerds. He was in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. He has been in everything for the last 50, 60 years he was in it. He passed away in 2017, but he was one of those character actors that he had been in everything. He's in episodes of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He's everywhere.
Yeah. I think the coolest part about this movie that this is the first film that features the makeup special effects of Stan Winston, and he actually won an award in 1973, an Emmy for outstanding makeup.
Yeah.
A makeup and achievement. So, which is pretty wild for it being your first time and then getting immediately recognized.
And for being a TV movie, this thing got 2 Emmy nominations, one for makeup and one for editing. It only won for makeup. Obviously, you're going to win for makeup more than editing on this one because the editing didn't stand out to me as anything spectacular. It seemed okay, but not, nothing extraordinary about it, you know?
And the other thing that we were talking about is how he actually fought for his name and the name of the people that worked on the makeup to be added onto the credits.
Yeah, because this was still back in the day when the makeup effects guy didn't get top billing like they do now.
Yeah.
Makeup artists weren't household names back then. People didn't know, Stan Winston or Dick Smith or any of that kind of stuff. It kind of, after The Exorcist, it started to become that way. And then in the 70s, when you started getting into the Rick Bakers and all that kind of stuff, that's when they became celebrities in their own right. Before then, they were just kind of unknown.
Yeah, because back then, I mean, a lot of that kind of work was just just basic work. They're just doing their job.
They considered that like the same guy who's laying electrical cable.
Exactly.
That's why for years I forget her name now. That's Millicent something that did a lot of the makeup on the creature.
The Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yes. That's why she got forgotten for a lot of times too, because it was considered just a, like I said, it's the same. They considered that as the same as, the guy laying electrical cable or the guy digging ditches or building sets. They're just, technical people here to do a craftsman's job and go home. They're not actual artists or that kind of thing. They're just, tradespeople.
Millicent Patrick.
Okay. I knew Millicent, but I forgot her last name.
I feel like Millicent is a very strong name to not
you're
forget.
You're not going to forget that. The last name.
That's a basic name, right?
Basic name, but Millicent stands out.
Millicent does stand out.
Another one in this movie is the opening narration, where they explain to you what gargoyles are, how they're basically fallen angels. It's done by a guy named Vic Perrin. And you would know him he's the guy who did the opening narration for all the Outer Limits shows in the 60s. He also was in Star Trek a couple of times as well. He did the voice of the Guardian of Forever. And then he actually appeared in, well, he did several voices in Star Trek, but he actually appeared as himself in one, as an actual actor in like one episode. Because that's one of the few things where he's actually on camera just talking without doing, just being a voice.
Yeah, for them to have all that info before the movie, so it's like, we're letting you know, like, where your head needs to be, so you can accept what we're about to show you, because what we're about to show you is some crazy shit, because mind you, it's 1972.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like the norm now. Like, it's not like the norm like it is now. So, it's like, okay, especially for a made-for-TV movie, it's a lot. I mean, I'm sure I can't even... You actually told me that you had kind of like seen this as a kid and something, and like it stood out with you, like the way that he looked, the gargoyle, like freaked you out.
The gargoyle, the makeup on the lead gargoyle is very impressive. It still looks good. Their faces, the bodies, they kind of cheaped out on. The bodies are just them in like green neoprene suits with some shit stuck on them here and there. Except for the lead gargoyle, he has like the wings and the awesome face, and there's that great shot where he's reading the book and just kind of looking like it's serious while he's holding up this textbook and reading from it.
Oh yeah, because he talks English also. He knows how to read.
Yeah, Vic Perrin that did the narration also does the voice for the gargoyle. They replaced Bernie Casey's voice because Bernie Casey has a very mellow, laid-back sounding voice, and they needed something a little more...
Not gargoyle.
Yeah, he didn't sound like a gargoyle.
Because, we just think that the gargoyle is going to be like with the strong voice.
Yeah, he sounds like a very classically trained actor.
Yeah.
And they wanted him to sound a little different.
He could have been like Beast. He could have been up there
could have been like Ron Perlman.
Intellectual.
Yeah. But I saw this as a kid. This is one of those ones when we came to Florida to visit when I was a kid. We'd stop in hotels a lot, and I slept a lot in the car because it was boring. So when we get to these hotels and stay at night, I would stay up just watching whatever was on the cable stations around there. And I saw part of this then, and it freaked me out. Probably now that I've seen the whole movie, I probably saw about 98% of the movie, but I just assumed there was way more. Because I watched it for probably the hour and a half that it was on. I just thought there was more to it than that. And it always stood out with me, especially the end scene where the gargoyle is flying away and that. So yeah, I also saw Tourist Trap like that. So there were some crazy movies playing in hotels in the late 70s.
I would have loved, if I had a time machine, I would go back to said time, and be in a hotel, probably
watching Tourist Trap.
Watching Tourist Trap. Like, I just came out of the shower. I'm drying my hair. I look at the TV. What the fuck is this? Oh, Tourist Trap? Listen, let me see what's going on in this movie. And then watch the end shot of that movie. Like, whatever, an hour and whatever.
That shot stayed with me for years, and I couldn't remember, for a long time, I couldn't remember the name of what... I didn't even know I don't think I even knew the name at the time.
Yeah.
Because I just saw it and was like... It took me years because Tourist Trap wasn't available anywhere for a long time. And this one was the same way. I forgot about this movie for a long time and kind of thought like, maybe I even imagined that movie. Until years later they released this. This came out on like Laserdisc and VHS and a lot of things. This one's been very popular because anyone who saw it back at the time when they were younger, it really stands out to them. It's not in any way, shape, or form scary or even that suspenseful. But when you're young and see it, it's very freaky to you.
Yeah. Because
the gargoyles, the makeup is so good, and it's isolated out there where they're at. They're filming this like in Carlsbad Cavern. That's where they have they actually have caves. I always appreciate it in the movies when they have a real cave instead of just the paper mache caves on Star Trek where they just put paper mache on the wall and spray painted it brown and said, that's a cave. But yeah, so this movie... Go ahead.
I don't mean to cut you off. It's just one of these things that I just find so hilarious when you have a movie like this. Like, there's a scene where they're in the car,
Oh, yes.
and they're supposed to be...
They're driving.
Driving, right? And it's very obvious that someone is shaking the car and there's a fog machine.
Someone is shaking the car violently, because if you were driving on a road, if I was ever driving on a road and the car was shaking that bad, I would stop, because you're not a road anymore. You're just driving over like big chunks of rock.
And there's the woman, the owner of the motel, okay?
Yeah.
She is in everyone's business. She's trying to like have sex with everybody. Like, if you are a man, this man, I mean, who's gone there because it's a professor or whatever, and the like assistant that
we haven't really,
right?
is his daughter who's helping him out, but we haven't even covered really the plot of this yet. So we get the opening narration where they explain that gargoyles are basically fallen angels, and every 600 years they come back and try to do their thing, but humans always destroy them. So this time around, the scientist is landing here. It's the classic 60s, 70s movie. The scientist lands in his plane, and they're going to go out to the desert where someone has found a gargoyle skeleton and he wants to show it to him. They go out there, they look at it, and he's like, well, this is great. This is a really well-made fake. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and he's mad because his time is wasted. And then, of course, the craziness ensues.
Gargoyles attack.
Yeah, they go through the whole thing. The freaking daughter's kidnapped.
Well, slow down. We're not there yet.
Well, yeah, no, but we're just doing we're just surmising.
The daughter does get kidnapped and all that, but I was going to say the reason the hotel owner comes into it is because they just take the whole skeleton with them back to the hotel and just kind of throw it onto the bed. And
yes, and of course the gargoyles start popping out of the woodwork. They're coming out the ovens. They're coming out the closets. They freaking just destroy the room. It's just like a freaking a band that's traveling from motel to motel and just destroying the motel. The property is just in shambles because they have just narrowly escaped being attacked by the gargoyles.
This is one of my favorite scenes in it, though, is where they end up kidnapping the daughter later. They're getting in the car to drive away, and the gargoyle just pops up beside the window and it's like into the window at her. And she's screaming and freaking out, and then it just rips the whole car door off, throws it over its shoulder, and grabs her and runs off into the desert with her. Now they run into Scott Glenn and all the young bikers because when they go back out to the site the next day with the police to explain what happened, the place burned down and this. That's when they see them out there, and they're kind of looting the place, basically. They get locked up in jail. So later, when the daughter's kidnapped by the gargoyles and they need to go out in the desert and look for her, this is one of those things, too, where they're like, well, we don't have a lot of people to go out there with them and to go out and look for her. We just have the sheriff, 4 deputies, and a whole bunch of guns, and we're going to go on horseback. And like you have a pretty decent search party. I don't know why you feel the need. Then they're like, well, we can just have the bikers come help us too because they know the desert. So they got guys on bikes running around out there. They got people on horseback. And the old thing I always love in these movies, they even did this in Halloween, where it's like, we got to get the state police out here. The state police will come and save us. I always love in the old horror movies that it's always the state police are coming. I don't think anyone's ever called the state police in my life that I've ever heard anyone say. I've never called the state police. Have you ever heard anyone that was like, we got to get the state police involved in this?
No.
No.
I didn't even state police. Like, I'm not
the
even
highway
trying
patrol?
to call the basic police.
Yeah. But yeah, I love that they're trying to do that. And that's where we get, unfortunately, Mrs. Grayson meets her and the hotel manager.
Well, yeah, but I feel like when she arrives at the place, though, she pulls up to the station, opens the sheriff's drawer, takes out the gin bean, okay?
Yeah, and just starts drinking.
And just starts drinking it. The woman, drinking, she's still drinking as they're leaving the station. She has the bottle in her hand and then continues to drink while she's in the car with one of the deputies.
And I love that The was not one of the deputies. She goes up with the guy who runs the gas station.
Oh, runs the gas station. Yes. But the deputy let her out.
Yeah.
With the freaking ball.
I also
in her
love
hand.
that she's so comfortable at the police station that she just goes in, opens the drawer, and takes the bottle out.
Yeah.
She knows where the sheriff keeps his secret bottle of booze.
His reserve, yes.
Yeah, he's got the bottle of booze stashed for just such an occasion as gargoyle attacks.
Because we all know what's going to be at the bottom drawer, the left or the right. It's going to be the bottom drawer. That's the biggest drawer, right?
This is also one of those classic monster movies, horror movies from the 60s, 70s, where you just pull up to any gas station and there's a mechanic on duty that can fix your car. It just looks like a Shell station, but they pull up to it and they're like, oh, yeah, we got a mechanic here. He can fix your car. Because, of course, their car gets fucked up by the gargoyle attack for the first time. And it's got to be in there. It's always going to be a couple of days for the car to be fixed, you know?
Yeah.
I just love those old movies where it was every gas station was also a mechanic station.
One-stop shop.
Yeah, because that was apparently the only thing in this town was the hotel, the gas station, and the sheriff's department. That's all we saw. Those three buildings was all that was there. Like, what is this town economically viable? I don't think so. Yeah.
A lot of those movies had just that other movie we did with that on New Year's Eve. That was like the main house, not the courthouse, the weird meeting room everyone was meeting at.
Yeah. I forget the one we did that earlier this year.
Yeah.
I forget the name of it now, but yeah, there was only like a few things in the whole town. It was just that.
So it's like, oh, okay, this is the whole town, and there was like 7 people in the town.
It's like the Incubus when the guy was he was the doctor, the coroner,
Yep.
the chief investigator for the police. He was everything, and he was a jack of all trades.
In the small town, you had to have multiple jobs. If you didn't have another job, what were you even doing in that town? Because everyone was carrying their weight. Okay. Yeah. I'm the baker and I'm also the principal of the school. Yeah. All the schools.
Well, he bakes all the bread for breakfast.
Exactly.
And the school is one room, by the way. Everyone from 1st all the way to 12th grade is in there, all 10 of them. Some of them don't make it beyond 3rd grade, but that's fine. You got a job for him down there at the bakery.
He knows how to read, or she knows how to read and write. Nearer done.
They got you up to the Amish level. The Amish people all quit at 8th grade. They get you to that level, you're good.
They're like, you don't need it to know anything else, because anything past 8th grade is not worth knowing.
Yeah, they assume once you've learned enough reading and writing and arithmetic to get to 8th grade, you don't need algebra to be out there riding that horse around with your little cap on and your beard. After
the daughter gets kidnapped, okay?
Yes, and they're all make the search party because we got to get out here. There's a white woman missing in the desert. We got to get out there and find her fast.
That's exactly what happens. What happens. Mind you, there's not a lot of white women that live in the town. She, on the other hand, is just passing through. But she's an attractive white woman, and we need to find her ASAP. But a gargoyle has taken her and flown away with her, okay? So there's a lot of concern. We also don't want cross-contamination. We don't want
her to be violated by this gargoyle.
Yeah, we don't want Caucasian, gargoyles around, because that is fucking scary as fuck, right?
Oh, yeah.
That would be horrifying. So they're not about it.
They don't want them, coming out there getting offices and political places.
And I thought, oh shit, this is gonna take it to humanoid to the deep level. Why'd they just kidnap this woman? Why'd they take the man too? What's going on?
Well, the gargoyle was clearly interested in the woman.
Yes, he was. But you know who wasn't interested in the woman?
The gargoyle lady?
Yeah, the gargoyle queen, okay? Who we didn't even know there was a queen. I thought all gargoyles were dudes, okay?
Nope.
Apparently not. There are lady gargoyles, ladies and gentlemen. So the next time you live in a city, you're in Massachusetts, you're in Boston, you're in New York, and you see a gargoyle in the building, it may or may not be a lady, okay? And said lady would not be happy, because when she sees the girl, which I feel like, when you see a girl that may or may not be trying to steal your man, right? Your first inclination is let me rip her shirt off to show the goods, right? Because this gargoyle lady, you know, ... She was more gargoyle than lady. You just knew she was the lady because of the way her hair was, and she was like a little smaller stature, and because she was real mad when the human lady showed up. She did not appreciate it. And he mentioned at one point
that, like, you know, and he gives her the speech of, like, you don't have anything to worry about, which as soon as, you know, your partner tells you this is the person you don't need to worry about, that's the one you need to worry about.
Yeah. Well, let's not just glaze over the fact that after she did that and the man gargoyle stepped in, he consoles the wife, the queen, and then tells her to move on and slaps her on the ass as she walks away, which gave her a little pep in her step. She's like, "Oh, okay. See you later, daddy.
He's still into me. It's fine.
Yeah, he good. Okay, baby." And just skips away.
I mean, the gargoyles are apparently fallen angels, and you know those fallen angels, they are not known for their chivalrous tendencies. They're a little bit of pigs.
Okay. And then let's also discuss why the gargoyles riding horses. There was a gargoyle riding a horse at one point.
Oh, well, yeah, because he knocked the human off of it and just hopped on the back of the horse.
Yeah, that shit was wild. It's like, that's like, I'm trying to fucking think like, oh, I'm a centaur and I have a freaking...
I'm driving the car.
Yes, I'm driving a car. I'm a centaur driving a car.
He's in the driver's and the passenger seat.
No,
he just turned sideways in the passenger. He's driving the car.
My brain is like not working right now. I'm trying to remember. Oh, I'm a cyclops and I'm a centaur.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's not a normal thing that would happen. I mean, obviously overall, but the gargoyle on the horse, that was
I also love
that
this is one of those movies where there is no hesitation. These guys take the shotguns out, and as soon as they see a gargoyle, they just unload a shotgun at it. No, like, maybe we should see if this thing's hostile or not for sure. Let's talk. Nope. Shoot it with the shotgun until it's dead.
They're in that part of America where it's like, it's looking a little weird. We got to shoot it.
Yeah, they don't waste any time. And they just start blasting everything. They brought the gasoline and the Molotov cocktails. They're ready to burn some gargoyles. And not a lot of people make it through this movie, by the way.
They don't.
Not a lot of gargoyles, not a lot of people make it through the movie.
Well, because there's like a whole ass like gargoyle versus human fight out. Okay, there's a war going on. But you see, at the beginning of the story, you know who needs to redo this movie? I'm going to tell you who needs to redo this film.
Okay, let's hear who needs to. Because this is one of those classic ones we've talked about before, that it's got a okay plot, it's got some decent effects. If you remade this, you could remake this very well. This could be a Blob or a Thing situation where you remake this and you do a good job of it. It would be amazing. Who are you thinking should remake this?
I'm going to say... I wanted to say Ridley Scott.
Okay.
Only because, I don't know why. But yeah.
I would say if you were going to remake this, you get Guillermo del Toro to do it.
Guillermo del Toro. No, okay. First of all, we were talking about. I wasn't trying to get this like high caliber fancy. Like
for Ridley Scott's high caliber fancy. Come on.
For me, Ridley Scott. He okay. I don't see him to be high caliber fancy anymore. At one point, yes, but now there's a lot that he's been through. He fine. He hanging in there.
But yeah, I can see Guillermo del Toro doing this and doing this pretty well, because do the amazing practical effects on the gargoyles, and we would have them all out there. And this is one of those ones that, again, you could do a very reasonable low budget version of this. You put a little bit more gargoyles, a few more people in it, it could come out pretty well. But this is one of those ones that it seems like everybody remembers it, but there's not a lot of interest in trying to remake it. Now, there was that whole cartoon in the 90s about the gargoyles that was hugely popular. I'm sure you remember that.
Yes, of course. I watched that like literally after school every day.
Yeah.
Also, let me go back to the Ridley Scott thing. If we were going to do really fancy, I would have Ryan Coogler, okay?
Okay, you're going to go, okay.
Yeah, we're going fancy. I'm going to the fucking top, okay? I'm going to the top. Ridley Scott, because the original thought behind Legend is that he wanted that to be like cinematic. Like his vision of Legend was to be more of the vision of Peter Jackson, Lord of the Rings. Like I love Legend, and seeing him in an interview from back then, that was what he wanted to do. But
he wanted it to be epic.
Yes, but he couldn't get the money for that. So this is
what
we
came
got.
Out all right.
It still came out all right, but he wanted like there to be like a whole war between like with the fairies and the darkness and this whole fucking thing and all the like the darknesses, like, you know, minions and all that. It was gonna be like a whole blown like unicorns fighting, piercing their horns through fucking like, you know, it was gonna be a big thing. That's why I thought Ridley Scott.
Okay.
But then also, yeah, I just think he could pull it off. But I didn't know we were trying to go like fancy like that. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll Guillermo del Toro. Like,
I feel like he also would be the kind of guy who would have watched this movie and loved it.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. He may actually love this movie. Hey,
What the hell? We're gonna tag Guillermo del Toro. We're gonna tag Guillermo del Toro on this and say, have you ever seen Gargoyles? And if so, what did you think about it? I just want to see if he'll respond, because I feel like he's the kind of guy who also saw this movie when he was a kid and loved the hell out of it.
Yeah, I totally see that for him. I see him being a fan big time. But yeah, this would be really cool to see now.
Remade with some, you know, obviously the length of this too, you can expand it a little bit, because it's only 74 minutes. You could definitely expand this to at least 90 minutes and it would be fine.
It's just fun. I love a good like monster / creature film. Yeah. And I feel like we're overdue one. Maybe someone would dispute like, oh, we have this movie and this movie. I don't think there's been a movie that has come out that's a monster / creature, and I'm taking obviously Godzilla out of this category, even though technically he's a monster.
He is. That's a giant monster, though. We're talking about a medium-sized monster.
Regular size. And more in the horror. Okay, fine. But we're not gonna limit it. We're just gonna overall.
Yeah.
But that's why I feel like, besides all the bullshit around it, why we can't see. I can't envision what the creature from the Black Lagoon would be like. I feel like it would take a very special person to make that movie like amazing, like how they did with The Invisible Man, like where it's like fresh and new, but well, in a sense, never mind. You know my whole thing about sleeping with the enemy and The Invisible Man, but again, overall, it was the best like
Invisible Man that you've seen in a long time.
Hell yeah.
Well, a lot of movies do that. I mean, if you can pull it off, it can be fine. Like Apocalypse Now is Heart of Darkness.
Yeah.
Outland with Sean Connery is just a remake of the Western High Noon.
Yeah, well, like there's so many.
There's a lot of them like that. So all you gotta do is find the right one for Creature from the Black Lagoon. The right one for Creature from the Black Lagoon, and go for it, and it would be amazing. Maybe, who knows? Maybe Heart of Darkness is one you go with the Creature from the Black Lagoon. They're going, they have to go up the Amazon River and encounter strange things on there to find the people who, maybe there's this creature there. You don't do it quite as well as the Hearts of Darkness, because that's more of a war allegory, but maybe work on that line where you've got to explore up the river and find all these strange things before you find the creature. Maybe the creature's out there, the people are worshiping it like a god or something, something kind of different. I
like the worshiping like a god thing, kind of like... That reminds me of like not King Kong or whatever.
Yeah.
In a sense.
But like that.
For sure, like maybe they're just doing. Maybe you know what you gotta love like we're scientists and we're gonna go do some science shit, and we stumble upon this fucking discovery. And we think that these bones in this thing has been like dead for like fucking hundreds of years, because we've never seen anything like this. This is like a new dinosaur kind of like, finding. But alas, oh shit, no, that shit is real life right now. And this happens to be like something that died like recently, like maybe like 2 months ago, and the creature's like, surprise, bitch. And it's just there, that I will watch any of these, but it has to be done well. This is what I'm saying. So with this movie, it's for me, it's the same like wavelength. Like that's why I appreciate like okay, I can go back and watch this and be like okay, and yes, it's the 70s, so it's very flawed, but it's hilarious. You know, it's a fun watch. It's a 100% fun watch.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that you see it and you see the flaws in it. Like so you see the costumes are obviously just like diver suits.
Yeah,
they're green with some stuff stuck on them. But then like from the neck up, everything's amazing. I feel like if you were going to do that, why not just put them in some like tattered rags and cover up the rest of them?
Because that's too much money and too much time, and maybe we can have the rest. And all the dedication went to like the focal, because they do a lot of shots of up close shots of him when he's talking.
Yeah, the lead
and
gargoyle.
Not so much like pulled away, like full body.
I love how he's just holding the book. He looks so intellectual when he's just looking. You expect him to have like a pair of glasses halfway down his nose, being like, "Well, actually."
For sure.
Yeah.
But you know what's sad about the movie?
What?
That they've been going at this for 600 years, and they still, wink, wink, have not been able to be successful in overtaking over, obviously, the humans. Because this is another crazy thing for the time, which I feel like, I may or may not be wrong because I wasn't alive at the time, but this wasn't a common thing to have like oh shit, like there could be a sequel kind of thing, like where the woman saves at least one of the eggs or whatever and like flies away.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie. Like,
yeah, I feel like they could have easily brought it and done a sequel to this. And the other thing I forgot to mention on this was the director of this movie. He has had a very interesting career as well. Now, this was was directed by a guy named Bill Norton, who is still alive to this day. And in addition to directing this movie, and he has directed TV all the way up into the 2000s. He's directing episodes of Law and Order Criminal Intent, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel. He's doing Medium, Ghost Whisperer, The Invisible Man TV show. Does anyone remember Freaky Links?
No, but he was a busy guy.
He also directed, in terms of films, he directed Convoy, the movie. Yes, the movie based on the song Convoy. He directed more American Graffiti. And one that people from the 80s will remember. Do you remember Baby, Secret of the Lost Legend?
No, what the heck is that?
It's the guy from House, William Catt, finds a dinosaur out in the jungle.
Wow.
It's like a kid's movie.
Of course it's William Catt.
Yeah. He did quite a few things. And like I said, he directed episodes of Tour of Duty, was a writer for that show. All kinds of things. It's like, man, he's in his 80s now, and he was still going until just recently. Kind of retired out finally, which, I mean, good for him. He's in his 80s. It's about time to retire. This movie was written by a married couple, Stephen and Eleanor Karff, I believe is how you say the name. And they worked on this. They worked on a TV show called Capital. They worked on like all the shows back at the time. Adam 12, Kung Fu, Dynasty. They wrote for General Hospital. But more importantly, they wrote another made-for-TV movie that was very popular back at the time called Devil Dog, the Hound of Hell.
Oh my gosh.
About a family that adopts a dog that is possessed by a demon and is slowly turning the people in the household into monsters.
Shut up.
It was another late night classic that I saw back when I was a kid, and it is gloriously bad.
You said gloriously bad.
Oh, it's way bad. And this might be one we'd have to cover sometime just for how bad it is, because the cast of this movie, of Devil Dog, is also a little crazy. It has Richard Crenna, the guy that was always giving Rambo his orders in the movie. Kim Richards.
Kim Richards.
You know her from a few things.
She is the little girl in the original Halloween, and she is currently a housewife on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
It also has a guy in it named Ike Eisman, who you would know as one of the kids from Witch Mountain, Return to Witch Mountain. And he's also Scotty's nephew in Star Trek The Wrath of Khan.
Scotty's nephew.
So yeah, that movie is crazy, and the people who wrote this movie also wrote that. It's also just interesting, I find it interesting that it's a married couple that's a screenwriting team, you know?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That they wrote tons of episodes of TV shows, they wrote TV movies, they had a very long career.
Well, this really was an in-depth discussion about this film.
We are at about half the length of the movie right now.
Yeah, there's a lot to discuss in this movie because it feels like you could break down each little thing about it, like the lore of it, the makeup of it, you know, the time frame, the whole overall 3 years of the CBS, like, you know,
made for TV,
the Tuesday and the Friday movies, because they had the two, which Tuesday's such a random day, I guess, like to have like, oh, this is the movie, this is the night, you know, we're gonna show this.
Well, I guess everybody probably had the Tuesday night movie. Someone else probably had the Monday night movie.
Yeah.
Someone had a Wednesday night movie that they would show.
But they had the Tuesday and the Fridays. I think it's just cool. Like, I wish they still had that kind of thing, because I do miss that, like, oh, but now obviously that would never be a thing. That's a thing of the past.
I was telling you that I remember the thing that CBS again used to do in the late 80s, early 90s. They did the Crime Time after prime time.
Wow.
And before they had Letterman or any of that, they kind of got rid of all this once they got David Letterman in the early 90s, like 93. They had a whole series of shows like Monday through Friday, the late shows, and they would have like, they had Nick Knight, the story about the vampire cop. They had Dark Justice, which was a judge that was out being a vigilante at night.
That's
they
amazing.
They had I think it was one called, I think it was called Adderley. It was about spies. And they had that show Silk Stockings that later went on to USA.
Silk Stockings.
And they had another one, I can't remember what it was, but they had one like every night of the week. They had some kind of crime drama. Some of them were a genre thing with a little twist on it, but they had all those going because back at the time CBS had nothing, because the only talk show on late at night back then was The Tonight Show. That was it.
Yeah.
And that was all that was on late at night, really, if they didn't run a movie. Some of the local stations ran movies, but there was no like network shows other than that, other than news programs, you know?
Yeah.
So the Crime Time after prime time was a big deal for years. That's where I think the first 2 seasons of that Nick Knight show ran on that. And that show was popular for a while, too, the whole vampire cop thing. You gotta love it.
Yeah.
He works the late shift, so it's fine.
I can't.
He'll never have to be filing paperwork until 7 in the morning when the sun comes out.
Yeah, imagine being the person, like the partner that had to work the morning shift that had to file the paperwork.
You got this. I'm going to go hide in my car now because the trunk of his car, his classic Cadillac they drove around as his police vehicle.
Was also his coffin?
Yes. He had the trunk specially made.
Because you'll never know when you're going to get into some shit. And it may be like, oh, the sun's coming up at 7 a.m. It is 6:58 and I'm still fighting this bad guy. I got to do what I got to do to get the fuck out of here and jump into this damn thing. You can't have your coffin fucking...
I feel like all those Crime Time after prime time shows were Canadian, too.
You know what? God bless Canada.
They probably were.
I love me some Canadian CTV programming. Okay,
like that Whispers movie that we covered, where it was very obviously using the music from Friday the 13th.
Yes,
cues in that, which was Canadian show.
We love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us in another episode of Jump Scare, the horror podcast. Stay tuned to the horror.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.